Tonight's the night. The people I'm going to the party with pick me up hours before midnight on New Year's Eve. Everyone is excited to get me, but not as much to go pick up the alcohol for the night. There really isn't much for me to get ready. I'm certainly not the main attraction. When we all arrive to the house party, the place is small and not much people have been there yet. The music is nice and current. Come on in, guys, the party host says as we enter. The place was an Airbnb just for this night. We had arrived before everything was completely set up. After the party started up, we all waited for more party goers. Ultimately, I become a wallflower. I'm in the corner of every conversation. Everyone occasionally looks at me and then carries on their regular dealings. About an hour passes and the party is finally picking up. Many people come to the house at once. If I felt ignored before, I totally feel that way now. The music switches very quickly and is much louder. The Rager is in full display, and for a while everyone looks the same, liquidated and buzzed. Everyone is dancing but squeezed together. I guess dancing isn't really my thing, but I enjoy watching others do it though. Some people begin to tire and move closer as they have their conversations and take a break from dancing. I don't know anyone here, do you? A girl asks someone she has just met at the party. Some people look familiar from high school, but I don't know most of the people, the guy answers. I turn to the one next to me, and they have been still and listening to the conversation as well. I could tell that they thought the same way I did. They had been a wallflower in the corner as well. Hey, how are you? My name is Lisa, I say, introducing myself. My name is Mark. Have you been here long? He asks, turning to me. Yeah, I was here from the very beginning. I've been to this person's party before, I answer as people continue to move around us. I don't often meet others as the same background as me. I wondered how much more we had in common. So, are you going to stay until the ball drops? I ask. Probably not. I'll probably be long gone by then, he answers. It makes sense. Not everyone will want to stay here the entire time either. It isn't much later after that I find myself at another area in the party. There is foam that is sprayed among partygoers. Many shouts and scream out of excitement. Some have sat down to watch the music performances on the TV. I knew that I was going to stick around for the duration of the party. Okay, everyone, come to the living room later if you want to see the ball drop, the host says. Who wants to play a game? Another person says when they enter the room with a board game in their hands. Some gather around the table in the living room to play the game. Not too many people are dancing in this area. In fact, it's far less crowded than it was at the other end of the party. Hey, does anyone even know how to play this game? I feel like we're just making it up as we go along. Others laugh as they play along. The DJ certainly has gotten into the groove of the night. They are now jumping from one song to the next. The television is on mute for the moment. I'm guessing they will put the volume on when it is time to have the countdown of the new year. Somehow, I find myself in the hall of the party. There are some people who are standing there, some are waiting for the bathroom, and others are simply socializing. The boy and the girl I had seen talking earlier were now in the hallway. Where are you headed next? The girl asks. Well, I'm headed home to watch the ball drop with my family. They live right down the street from here. But before I go, can I get your number? They both share a smile when he asks. Once they take out their phones, someone from behind pushes him, and his phone drops. I changed my mind about coming to the party, a girl in a short dress shouts. Alicia, The boy says, stunned. So you know her? The girl he was previously talking to asks. She walks away with a disappointed look on her face. I'm now in the bathroom with the man I came with. He takes a large swig of the flask and looks in the mirror. I can do this. No need to be afraid, he assures himself. I am the cup he takes a drink out of next. He drops me in the bin and suddenly all senses go dark. Hello everyone, this is Adeleye Carew. I am the host of Indie Hood. I'm also the author of all the stories on this channel. So I'm just going to go over my reasons for making the Happy New Year story. So I've basically had this idea for a few years of talking objects, of just basically having you really guess at the end of the story who was really talking, a quiet observer of everything that was going on. So let's see. I guess it's just one of those stories where it also makes you focus on the tiny details that I guess people never really notice, even when they're in maybe even a social environment. And that's kind of what I would like the series for Guess Who's Talking is about. I would like to do featured stories, short stories, where you would kind of have to figure out if it's a person or an object. Maybe I can even give you more of a backstory on why the object is there, or how it became animated, I guess. So I definitely do plan on going into further context with that. Okay, you guys, so enjoy the next story. That would be easy to do since nothing had ever stopped the Christmas festival before. Oh, and don't forget, I get to go around reminding people what their role is for today and see if they're still coming. Brianna was excited but anxious to get an answer. These were people who always attended their church and lived on their street, but her mother may go back on her decision. Yes, Brianna, I remember. Here is a small box of decorations for the church. Give this to your grandmother and bring your little brother back. Once you have done that, I will send you on another trip. Her mother had much that needed to be done since Brianna's father was the preacher. He had been away for a week on a business trip. Everyone was expecting his return this evening. It was the first time that he was away from home on Christmas Eve, which meant more was expected from everyone else. What could possibly go wrong? Okay, Brianna takes the box and puts it in her book bag. She hops on her bike and is humming tunes befitting Christmas songs. As she passes down the street, she notices people busily moving around. No one seems to have the time to stop and talk. Some are sweeping the streets in front of their shops of New York. The loud taxis race by her as she rides her bike on the sidewalk. It is not much time before she reaches her destination. Hey Brianna, everyone says as she comes through the door. Many were hard at work hanging decorations. Grandma, Brianna called as she went further into the church. Hey Brianna, is that the box that has the lights in it? The grandmother asked as she stops directing the choir. Yes, it is. Mama also said to bring David home too. Do you know where he is? David, get over here right now. It's time to go home. Her grandmother shouts for the boy to appear. Here I am. David comes running in with excitement and hugging Brianna. So do you have the banana bread for me? No. You have to come home first. Mom is waiting for you. I'll come home if you can catch me. The boy of 10 runs off with excitement. David was also very energetic, so this was expected. The grandma laughs and runs David! David, don't cause any trouble. Get over here and leave with your sister. The choir she was directing is now speaking only to each other. Don't worry. If he doesn't come home with me right now, I'll just ask Mom to give me his half of the banana bread. Okay, I'm back, David says as he rushes back. Grandmother turns back to directing the choir. The choir sings with great soul. This was the soul that the whole congregation had been listening to since her son John became the preacher years ago. The lights that Brianna had brought to the church had been hung up, but had just gone out. What was that? The man who had just hung up the lights said as he was coming down from his ladder. At first, no one noticed his question. After all, it was just a few bulbs. Before you knew it, those same bulbs fell down and made a loud smash on the ground. This time everyone turns around in shock. Many gasp. Everyone looks at the man who was named Joe, who had just come down from his ladder. You've got to be kidding me. Those lights nearly fell on my head. I thought they were new. They are, Joe. We just bought them last night, Grandmother answers. But that was a close one. I guess we'll be using the older lights. Hopefully we can still find them. Where are they again? I know where they are. I'll take you there, Brianna hurriedly says. Didn't Mom say for you to bring me back home right now? David asked, tugging at Brianna's shirt. Yes, I will take you home after I find the lights. Brianna fully embraced becoming an official member of the helping crew. She has never felt so grown up. Everyone is a chatter as Brianna leads the way to the storage room in the church. And it is here, she says as she opens the door. There were no lights behind the door. Instead, there was coal on the floor. What is it, my child? Joe asks in confusion. I have no idea. The lights are always put here. She tries to make sense of that question. What's stranger is that there's been coal left in its place. What's that about? Joe continues to be confused. David comes closer to his sister. He hugs her tightly. I think Santa Claus left it behind because someone's been naughty. Well, that can't be true because no one has been naughty, Brianna says confidently as a legitimate answer. The coal was actually a prop for last year's Christmas play, Joe clarifies. Brianna and David both look at each other and say, Oh. There were still no lights where it needed to be, and that was a mystery. Joe decided to go to the store to buy new ones. Brianna takes David home and sees that their mother is on the phone. She seems worried, but neither of the children say anything. Once she gets off the phone, she turns to Brianna and David. Children, your father's flight might be delayed. The snow where he is right now has become a storm and he might not make it back in time for Christmas. This was another travesty. He was the preacher, the main attraction for the church celebrations. How was the show still going to go on? Looks like I'm going to need the two of you to do a whole lot more work today, Mom says, looking at the both of them. Brianna and David walk to the nearby store to collect the order that the church had ordered. Hello, Brianna. I'll get your order, the store owner says, greeting them. Not much time passes before the store owner comes back, worried. Is everything okay? The children ask. I'm sorry, but I cannot find the supplies you ordered. I could have sworn I had just checked them before you came into the store owner says. I will give you other supplies to help you out, the store owner hurriedly says. When the three of them walk to another part of the store, they see a small spillage of water had soaked the products. Among those products were the order they originally had. That was a very unlucky thing to happen. Oh my goodness, all of my products are ruined, the store owner says frantically. The children were quick to help to clean up the area. As they finished up cleaning, the store owner decided to give them even more supplies for their Christmas party. Brianna puts the store supplies in her book bag before she says to David, "So what do you think is going on? Things keep going wrong everywhere we go. First the church, Dad, and now the store." "Well, it's like I said. Maybe we've been naughty and Santa Claus is punishing us," David states. "We didn't find any more coal, David, but we should try to find a way to stop it if we want to save Christmas." "Yes, Brianna, let's save Christmas!" David jumps up to high-five his sister. Brianna and David begin to go door to door to the regular churchgoers in the neighborhood to further remind them to attend the celebrations for Christmas Day. The first door that they knock on is of an old man that they have spoken to many times. "Hello, sir. We were just wondering if you were still going to attend the church Christmas morning," Brianna asks. "No, Brianna. I will be staying home alone this Christmas. Ever since Janet died last year, I just don't feel motivated to celebrate this year." The man speaks in sorrow. Everyone remembered his wife that passed away. She was once in the choir, like grandmother. Both children go into the home that they had gone into many times when their father had sometimes dropped off Miss Janet home after choir practice. The place was small and cozy. There was fire ablaze in the fireplace, and the inside smelled like cinnamon. The children noticed the pictures of the man and his wife all around. They noticed the gray hair he had even a year ago. But this time he portrayed himself as much older than that. He sat back into his rocking chair and looked away. David took a step closer to the man. "Please come tomorrow morning. We all miss Miss Janet, and if you come, we will be able to remember her again." The children leave before the man can speak again. They had many other people to address this afternoon. The next door that they knock on is of a young woman whose face was also a friendly and familiar person. "Hello, we were just stopping by to see if you will still be performing at the church tomorrow morning," Brianna asked eagerly. This lady was a local dance teacher to the youngsters. Brianna had spoken to her mother about signing up for her class from her, but still has not gotten a straight answer yet. "Why don't you two come in and I'll give you some hot chocolate," the lady kindly says and widely opens her door. "Thank you. Even with our jacket, it's still kind of cold," Brianna speaks. "There's not a lot of snow here yet. The small flakes are clouding my glasses. I hope more snow comes by the morning so we can really have a white Christmas," David says as they are coming into the lady's home. "We can't wish for more snow, then Dad would be stuck someplace else all through Christmas," Brianna counters as they sit and wait for the chocolate. A moment later, the lady comes back with the drinks. "So I wanted you guys to send a message to your mother for me. I won't be able to attend the Christmas party this year. I just received an invitation to dance at a large festival in another city. Apparently someone dropped out last minute and some old friends working there thought to call me." "Cool, that's so great. Can we watch it on TV?" David jumps up ecstatically. "Well, it was filmed last year, but I'll ask." The lady continues to speak in glee. She stops speaking when she notices that Brianna is quiet and still. "What's wrong, Brianna?" she asks. "Well, you already promised to come dance in the church. Many people are coming to watch you." "What are we going to tell them?" Brianna states her question quietly. "Well, honey, I'm sure they'll understand. This is a massive opportunity for me." The lady waits for a response from Brianna after she speaks. "You're the best dancer in Brooklyn. This won't be the only chance that you get if you don't perform tomorrow. Many girls here won't continue to believe in Christmas." Brianna finishes her chocolate after she says that. The children decide to leave afterwards. "So everyone is dropping out of Christmas this year. Maybe we should too," David says as he puts his hood back on. What happened to Let's Save Christmas? Brianna asked. Well, what are we going to do now? David stops and looks at Brianna. We are going to solve all of the things that's going on, and then we are going to save Christmas. That way, everyone will be able to attend our celebration in the morning. That is how we will save Christmas. She looks intently at her brother. Promise me that we are not going to give up like the others. We are going to do whatever we need to do in order to help bring everyone together on Christmas Day. Okay, I promise. We will work together. No giving up. David jumps up for another high five. In order for this to work, the two understands that they cannot always be in the same place together. Brianna drops her brother back at the church. There he continues to help to organize all of the decorations needed for the celebration. Oh, wow, I can't find my recorder. David hears someone shout out in the church. Oh, here you go. I knew someone had been looking for this, David says as he hands the recorder to the person asking for it. David, you've been such a help here. Everything is running much smoother, his grandmother states. Across the street, Brianna is also working to make sure everything goes by smoothly so that nothing can get in the way of Christmas. She makes sure to support a cart on the sidewalk that will be one of the caterers in the celebrations tomorrow. This small business was already volunteering their service, and the best she could do was to show her appreciation by giving money to the business. I will take this to eat, Brianna points. Her favorite snack was a pretzel she had just paid for. Here you go, Brianna. Tell your father that we will be at the church first thing in the morning, okay? The business owner says as they hand her the pretzel. Yes, I sure will. Once Brianna says that, she is reminded about her dad's trip to come back. She will have to know tonight whether or not if he will be making it back in time for Christmas. Right after that, she hears a light pole fall across the street. From there, it lands on top of a parked taxicab. Everyone gasps and stares. It isn't before long people begin to surround the scene. This cannot be happening. Sure, it has nothing to do with the celebrations at church, but it seems like Christmas may come to an end for all in the city. It was time to head back to her home and finish up what was needed. Brianna headed out for a Christmas tree, just as more snow continues to flow down. The daylight had begun to go down. It was a tradition to get their Christmas tree as a family every year, but this year they had wanted to wait until the dad came home. But they have to do it now in time for Christmas. Alright, this year you get to help pick out the trees since you have done such a great job all day, Brianna, her mother says as they arrive. Really? Brianna asks. A new Christmas tree will be just what is needed to complete Christmas. Hello there. We are just about to close, but how can we help you? A sales associate says. Most of the trees seem to be gone. The few that are left are small and very slim with barely any leaves. It could be expected that this would happen since it was Christmas Eve, but surely there had to be a suitable tree available. The sales associate sees their two faces and answers, I'm sorry, this is really all we have left. Okay then, we will take the 4 small trees, Mom said, and pulled out a card. Also, come to the celebration that will be happening at the church tomorrow. Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. I don't share your religion. The sales associate says after taking the card. It is perfectly fine. The celebration is for everyone. Christmas is about spending time with family and friends and spreading joy to all, Mom says. They collect the mini trees and head home. Once they are home with the trees, and are surrounded by the Christmas lights, stockings, and the warm smell of vanilla, Brianna sees what her mother meant when she took the 4 miniature trees. She put them on top of each other, and the large Christmas tree appears. It was like magic. Mother lights the firewood and continues to make a call to Dad on her phone. Call after call, and all she gets is a voicemail. There is no way to know if he's on a flight that will bring him back home by tomorrow morning. Brianna looks up at her mother and says, "Christmas will be Christmas, even if everything does not go the way we have planned, because we still have Dad in our hearts and will be with friends. That is how Christmas will be for all." It is just what Brianna had heard her mother say earlier. It was then she realized that Christmas will always be here because the true meaning of Christmas cannot be canceled. "That's right, baby. Christmas will be here," Mama says as she hugs her. David zips up his jacket and grabs his grandmother's hand to walk with her and the choir to do a Christmas carol at a few places on their way home. The first place that the choir stops to sing is in front of a grocery store. As they sing their soulful Christmas carols, many stop and listen. David stands close to his grandmother and watches her direct the choir in their hymns. There is so much joy throughout the streets and how people interact with one another. It was then that David realizes that this was Christmas itself. No planning, no decorations were really needed. He joins in on the last song that is sung by the choir, and they finish the Christmas carols for the night. When David and his grandmother arrive home, he rushes into the living room and asks, "Is he here yet?" "No," his mother says. "We are all just going to have to go to bed and hope that he gets back in time." "So, who wants more banana bread?" David and Brianna look at each other and shake their heads. This has been the first time for the both of them to refuse banana bread on Christmas Eve. "Good night, Mom and Grandma," Brianna says, and then gives them a hug and a kiss. "Yeah, Merry Christmas," David says as he heads to bed as well. Once David reaches his bed, he closes his eyes and makes a wish. "Santa Claus, I hope you bring my daddy home by morning. Thank you very much." At the very same time, Brianna was in her bed and closing her eyes to make a wish. "Santa Claus, I'm grateful for the Christmas we will have, but I would really like it if you bring home my father." She closes her eyes and goes to sleep. Once the morning comes for Christmas Day, Brianna and David jump from their beds and head to the living room. They see presents by the Christmas tree. They did not see the presents there last night, but that is not what they were hoping to see. "Ho ho ho! Merry Christmas!" Brianna and David hear a man say from behind them. They turn around and say, "Daddy!" They run to hug him. "I got home first thing this morning. The flight came in very late. But come on, let's get ready for church. Your mom and grandma are already there. I only stayed behind." When they arrive at the church, everything is in full swing. New lights are hung up that makes the room so bright. On the stage is the dancer that decided to stay. The old man whose wife had passed away was already in the crowd. Even the sales associate from the tree store was here as well. The store owners that the kids ran into were also in full attendance. It was everything that they had planned. They looked at each other and gave each other a high five because they saved Christmas. Hello, this has been an original story by Adeleye Carew called A Plan to Save Christmas. If you are interested in purchasing a physical copy of this story or would like to request original content, please DM me on Instagram at IndieHood, or leave a comment. Links are in the description. Okay, so A Plan to Save Christmas. This was honestly a title that I thought of almost when I was like almost finished writing the story. Um, I really didn't know at first what angle I wanted to take with it, but I just I just decided that I was going to name the story based on what the story ended up being instead of planning it all out like I usually do. But yeah, so A Plan to Save Christmas. I have like another story idea that might be coming out next. Well, towards the end of this year again. I'm not really sure in what format I'm going to present it, but yeah, I can't wait to actually do that. And I can't wait to have more of a production value on my stories. Again, you guys, if you're interested in reading like a full novel of mine, just um, just go to the link in the description, and it will take you to Amazon. Um, it will be Her Diary by Adeleye Carew and Dear Pen Pal by Adeleye Carew, okay? But yeah, so this story took me a few days to write. Um, and it really just it brought back the simplicity about Christmas. Instead of having, I guess, something really big and elaborate, it really it really did turn into like a story where all it needed was a few characters and very easy life lessons. And the thing about this story that was also really funny was that it reminded me of my very first audio story that I actually wrote a year earlier, which is called A Dragon Prince for Christmas. And I've actually already written A Dragon Prince for Summer, which you will be getting right before summer. And the themes are actually quite very similar. So, yeah, so be sure to check out those works and, leave a comment in the comment section to let me know how you find those stories similar as well. Yeah. It was Christmas again. Never my favorite holiday or anything, but it was one of the times a year I would see my parents. Isabella Marie Swan was my full name before I became a call-in, and when I would spend the holidays at either my mother or father's home, I felt like I was that girl again. Before I became a vampire and had to hide and lie as much as I do now to keep my immortality a secret. That was the main downside to all of this. It felt like I had to keep counting down the days until I couldn't quite show my face in certain places again, so that people could not recognize that I had way outlived the age that I presented. However, there were many advantages to help balance that out. For the first time, I could not think of any positives that allowed me to get through my immortality without them. Charlie died of a stroke 6 months ago, and my mom died 3 months ago in a rock climbing accident. This has kept me locked in my room in the old Cullen house. I had always known that I would have to be prepared to live a life without my other parents. That's the deal with living forever. Besides, this is an experience everyone who was born knows they have to go through. Why is it so difficult for me to accept that this was the inevitable? I know I'm stiff again. Edward had told me the last time when Esme walked into the room and saw me in a catatonic state, she screamed in horror. That drew me out of that state. Being a mother is the only thing that keeps me present. I know that I have to be present for her. I've lost both parents. She does not need to lose even one. From then on, whenever I sense that I had been still for too long, I make it a point to move to another place. I cannot disappear. I have to put on a brave face even though others know it may not be real. Besides, I know that's why all Members of the Cullen clan have come home for the holidays. Alice, Jasper, Rosalie, Emmett, Esme, and Carlisle have all come to comfort me for Christmas. I get up from the couch I had been sitting on in me and Edward's room and look out the window. There I saw Emmett carrying a large surround TV through the snow that he had gotten for the holidays. This place had been quite empty before 6 months ago. Edward and I had decided to stay in Forks for Renesmee and Jake's sake. So the others in the Cullen clan decided to spend some years traveling. Everyone else would come back periodically to touch base, but it was mainly just our little family for the past few years. "Hey, Edward, open up," Emmett shouts from the outside. His words ring like loud bells in my ear. Vampire hearing was like having headphone glued to your ears at all times. With Emmett inside the house, it was all of a sudden like a party had just gotten started. "I'm heading upstairs. We're all tired of waiting for her to come down," Alice says in an angelic voice. "Alice, we should wait. She's long heard of all of you. I'm sure she'll be down soon," Edward said in a soft tone, knowing that I would still hear him. Others had followed his advice without pushing the topic. Carlisle and Esme were probably quietly walking around with their hands wrapped around each other's sides like they usually did. "Edward, I'm going to march up there and throw my little sister over my shoulders and bring her down." Emmett sounded as if he would not be deterred. He was always a fun brother. I know he must be confused about how to help me. Aside from Alice, he and I were the closest. "Slow down, monkey man. I would hate it if people went against my wishes just because they felt it was for my own good. If she doesn't come down, it means she isn't interested." Rosalie was right. Her and I were certainly still not best friends, but I felt like she was an alter ego of me. She understood me in a way that I could trust her to have my darkest interests. All of a sudden, I hear footsteps coming to my room swiftly. When I turn to head to the door, there is a knock. "Mom, are you coming downstairs?" It was Renesmee. She sounded hopeful. There was no confusion on what my answer would be, but I knew that I had prepared to face everyone at some point today. With my cashmere sweater over my jeans and long chestnut hair lightly brushed for the occasion, I was now presentable. "Come on in, Renesmee. Mommy's ready." I looked up and looked alive. "You look nice, Mommy." Renesmee smiled with a mouth filled with metal braces. "Not as stylish as you, Renesmee. You're turning into a real mini fashionista." Well, when I thought of it, she loved colors just like Alice, but it was refined and classic like Rosalie. She's definitely picked up more from her aunts than me when it came to fashion. She had a much lighter shade of brown than my hair, but that was definitely for me. But she was a whiz at communicating and knowing when it was best to let her message be spread. That she got from Edward. "Come on." I held out my hand for her to take. Once we made our way down the stairs, everyone in the Cullen family and Jacob was standing there waiting for me. I came down slowly and they all stared. No one knew what to say and neither did I. I have on a brave face that inspired others to smile as well. They were taking the lead. The lead that I was giving them. "Hello, Bella. We've decorated today," Esme says with a bright and comforting smile. Carlisle opens his mouth to say something but stops. He may not feel as if there was anything else that he could add. As I enter the living room with everyone following behind me, I see Edward standing in the middle, next to the Christmas tree. He stares at me. "It's okay. This is helping. And you guys are going to help me get through this because we're family," I speak in my mind. His eyes light up. Letting him in my mind was something I saved for special occasions. I did not want him to get bored of that luxury, but this brief moment of him penetrating my thoughts made us feel like we were the only ones in this glass house again. Everyone for a moment disappeared. Until... So, when are we gonna eat? I mean, I've never known vampires to make a meal that weren't from humans, Jake shouts out. Don't worry, Wolf. No one was expecting to come down today. We barely got the decorations up, Rosalie adds coolly. I know, I just wanted to make some noise in here. You bloodsuckers have gotten way too dull, Jacob finishes up with a cheeky grin. I flash him a quick grin. Okay, Jake, happy now? Yeah, Bella. I'm glad you're back. He smiles at me endearingly. I look up at the faces of everyone still standing around and smile at them. They were truly my family and they had gone through all of this for me. I reached back to Edward and wrapped my arm around his waist and said to the crowd, Thanks, everyone. I really do appreciate it. Jasper's effect of his serene powers calmed me. I'm sure it is affecting others in the room too. From there, everyone stops watching me like a hawk. Emmett and Jasper head back to the large screen TV. Esme and Rosalie head to the kitchen to talk. Edward gives me a sweet kiss on the lips as he makes his way over to Carlisle as they look out of the window in conversation. Bella, Alice says energetically as she jumps in front of me. Come, let's have a snowball fight. Her infectious laughter reaches me and I can't help but come along. Renesmee and Jacob had already started playing. I jumped right into playing along with them. More snow washed around us all as we fall into them. If anyone from afar would have seen us, they would have thought 4 teenage friends were hanging out. Renesmee was now 16 and could pass as my sister, but our relationship remained the same. We were mother and daughter. After we got done playing, Jacob gets up from the ground and fixes his leather jacket. Okay, Bella, Renesmee, I have to be heading back. Really? You have to leave now? Renesmee asked. Yeah, stay longer. We have more games to play, I added. Yes, the others are expecting my help with something, and I figure once I start smelling the blood drinking, it's time to dip out. He chuckles the same way he always has. As he walks away, I see Renesmee's lingering stare and wonder, oh, has it already started becoming love? When we enter the house again, we see exactly what we smelled earlier. Everyone in the house had a glass of freshly squeezed blood. Further into the kitchen, I see Carlisle there cleaning up. Bella, I left a plate for Renesmee on the table. Do you want a glass to drink? This is a glass of turkey, but we could get you a glass of deer if you like. Well, how often do I get to drink turkey? I say as I take the glass. Thanks, Carlisle. You know, Bella, you can always come to me if you want to talk too. Charlie was a great man, and it has been a blessing having his daughter in our family. He embraces me with a hug afterwards. I love you too, Carlisle. And we both stare at the rest of the family as we enjoy the rest of the day. Bella, Edward says as he enters the room with a small box in his hand. My love? I ask through my thoughts. He gives me a sweet smile. This has been a recording of a Twilight fanfiction called A Cullen Family Christmas of my How It Should Have Ended series. I own nothing and will have nothing for sale regarding this story. Please tune in for future Twilight fanfiction. Okay, A Cullen Family Christmas. Um, yes, I'm so happy that I actually got this story out in time. Um, you know, I am planning on doing a series called How It Should Have Ended. Or maybe I might call it something else. No, I'll call it how it should have ended. Um, and I'm going to do one in particular for the Cullen family. Yeah, I mean, I think we've all been curious on just how things progressed after the last Twilight book. And, you know, and I guess, my story is kind of like a prologue for the story that I'm going to write. Um, yeah, and I guess I wanted to create the setup to explain away why, the parents, won't be included in the future fan fiction spinoff. Um, and this was basically a setup for that. And just to show you just how well she's adjusted, just to show you where Renesmee is at this point. Um, and I guess it's also, I feel like it's very accurate because it's not too many years. It's only been about 15, 16 years, basically based around Renesmee's age since we last saw the Cullens. So not too much would have changed. The, dynamics between the characters will still be pretty much the same. Bella will be more comfortable in the role that she plays in the family. Um, yeah, and what you guys are going to see in the upcoming episodes are basically an adult Bella, a Bella as a mother, a Bella as having far more interaction with the Cullen clan than we really saw before. And, we're finally going to get to see more of Carlisle and Renesmee, and we're going to, get to know more about even let's say Rosalie. We're gonna get to know more about her, how she fits into the Cullen clan, and how they all relate to one another, and the interesting dynamics that may happen. And yeah, like another part in the story where I said that the others were basically traveling. Yeah, I don't expect for them to all have been in the same house for all these years without people getting suspicious about, them not really aging. It would make sense for them to have a little bit of a distraction, in the town, not have all of them be around all the time, you know. Yeah, that would have been a great way to make it more convincing. And yeah, and I'm very excited to flesh out the characters, especially flesh out Renesmee the most because we know the absolute least about her. Um, and I'm very excited to really delve deep into the backgrounds of the other characters. And I really hope that you guys continue listening for future episodes. And like I stated at the end of the video, the last story that you just listened to, the fanfic stories will not be for sale, will not be in print of any kind. Only the original material that I write will be for sale and in print. Okay. In an Iceland of always winter and snow, there bears a village of people on a round piece of land called Penumbrana. Here is the only place I've known, as I wake just one day before Christmas. The only cold comes upon me. At 18, it is customary to still have a room filled with bunkmates. Friends whom I've grown up with all know that it is possible to still maintain some share of privacy and respect. Sienna, hurry up and finish so we can go next. A familiar male voice shouts to fully wake me. Our only brief moments of privacy is when we use one of the 3 washrooms available on the second floor. I leave my bed with the long-sleeved gray undergarments dress that I've always slept in. 10 more people will be vying for one of these bathrooms pretty soon. I think as I quickly exchange one slip for a warmer one and put on my regular clothing of a gray dress on top. My light glove slips over my hand and the matching wool cape comes over me as well. This is the uniform for women on the second floor of the ice castle. Men wear similar concoctions, but with pants. As I move down the first floor to receive a package of well-cooked meals for my floor mates, I'm grateful for the faint heat that my floor provides. First floor inhabitants are responsible for the dealings with the outside. They are the largest floor and receive the least here of all. The people of this tier do not know what it is like to sleep in any beds. The space is far too cramped for that. A man dressed in all black uniform of the first floor inhabitants rushes in after disposing of the undesirable materials. In that brief encounter with the outdoors, the man had was enough to leave him shivering nearly uncontrollably upon entering. I remember every time just how my life would have been different had I been born on the first floor. "Hello, sir," I say as I retrieve the package I'm responsible for. He simply smiles, bows his head, and carries on. Managing the schedules for each other to ensure that we are all able to get our needs met and keep clean can be very frustrating. Fraternizing with the other tiers of floors are greatly discouraged outside the subject of work. I understand why the man cannot speak to me, but I'm one of the few that make the extra effort in conversing with others of a different standing than me. As I make my way back up the stairs of the castle, I slide a pair of gloves that I had sewn for the man I had spoken with earlier to see. I had noticed how thin his gloves had gotten from the last time it was my turn to go downstairs to the first floor. I made it a point to find a gift for Christmas for someone. Christmas was the one time a year that I went out of my way to make sure I gave thanks to as many people as I could, because it was the only time everyone was looking forward to the same thing. Christmas was the only time the sun fully came out and experienced warmth. That was the only time the second and third floors could dance outside all day. The only issue was that the night before was usually when those casted out of the ice castle would freeze to death for their crimes. There are stories that said that the criminals may not have even made it through the whole night. Some first floor residents closest to the outside doors claim that they tend to hear a loud growl of an animal, none of any other beast that they have ever heard. Then there will be screams of those outside for only a few seconds, with complete silence afterwards. Many of those chosen criminals are picked from the second and first floors, and the rest are gleeful to live another year. I put a cheerful face on and hold in a quick breath with the release. There is no way to give up confidence. I won't, and I won't allow others around me to make the same mistake and accept defeat. "Get up, Laura. You can't sleep the day away," I say as I pull the covers from her head. "Cheerfulness is for Christmas Day, not the day before, Sienna." She groggily gets up from bed and throws a pillow at me. "We are all in each other's prayers. Let's make the best of what we have." She looks me in the eye intently, then softens. I know I've gotten through to her, and the warmth in our hearts inspire us to continue on with our chores. Sweeping and dusting as I gently glide around, my dark curly hair bounces all over me. I pass through the two other rooms on the second floor and twirl once more before an abrupt stop. There stands in front of the door a woman from the third floor named Antonia. She wears a beautiful neck to floor-length dress with bright stitching of leaves. "You there. I will need your help with stitching for tonight's ball," she said as she points to me. Third floor residents do not join us outside on Christmas Day, so they have their shindig the night before. The sun fully coming out is not of extreme importance to them. The third floor is greatly exposed to the little bit of sun that comes out year-round. They feel all the warmth and heat to allow them comfort and light. Antonia turns around with a small amount of red hair falling down from her bun. As we move past the doors leading us from the second floor, we take the long walk up to the third. She stays a couple of steps ahead of me. Grace, she sure did not have a year earlier. We reach the living quarters that she appears to be sharing with another. The place is filled with beautiful, bright decorations. Gold-colored cushions were on the floor close to the dress she wanted to stitch. "Where would you want me to fix, madame?" I ask, only staring at the dress laid on the couch. "There's no one here. We can speak normally, Sienna." That was an entirely different tone from what I was used to hearing since she was voted into society, the third floor. If those on the second floor are able to gain favor and fondness with the society members, you could get enough votes to eventually be accepted into the third floor the night before Christmas. She was voted in last Christmas Eve. She was very skilled in her abilities to serve the third floor inhabitants and dazzle them with her personality. Many must have enjoyed being around her. This is how she was probably chosen in. Space in society is limited and is usually only opened up when someone dies and there are not enough people around to replace them. "I went looking for you earlier, Sienna. Why did it take you so long to come back to your floor?" Unsure on how truthful to answer, I remained silent. "Don't tell me you are doing another good deed for first floor, Sienna." "I never said anything, Antonia. In the 3 times I saw you this year, you didn't seem to be interested in speaking to any of our old friends from your old floor. You only come to command us to do things. I forgot you remembered anything that I once did." "I remember everything that happened on the second floor." She steps closer with her arms folded. "I also remember that you always wanted me to join in with giving more food to floor 1 on Christmas Eve." "That's what both our parents did, Antonia. What's wrong with that?" I picture Antonia assisting our parents in our much younger years, crafting shoes for others, donating extra food, and caring for those most of need. That is usually the first floor. Both our parents were thrown out on Christmas Eve for getting themselves caught up in helping someone on the floor beneath them for one reason or another. I learned something from that. I hope you would too. She was right. We had both lost our parents by our 10th birthday. I always thought it was important to keep their lessons alive. She learned to do the opposite. "You sure have," I say in a mild voice, never to speak too loudly. I know my rank and where I am. "How did you get chosen anyway? We are barely allowed to speak to any people in society." "I followed the rules," she said coldly. She too knew to be on her best behavior. She was in a new tier and was considered at the bottom in her position. People of this floor can afford to either have one other roommate or have a whole room to themselves. If our parents' ancestors had followed the rules, we would not have created new ways to complete our chores. This led to the second floor being created. It would have only been first floor in society. Many people now at least have a decent chance at warmth. Well, many things change. The full sun is guaranteed to show itself on every Christmas day. But have you noticed that it has been shining less bright these last couple of years? Our authority has not given even to society as much light as they used to. She whispers this to me. Authority is never seen. They stay behind the frozen doors. Whatever they want to say is done through a note left outside of their doors. The society residents then see it through. It has been this way from the beginning of Penumbrana. No voices come from them, but they command everything. Do you think they've been lying to us? Of course. I suspect the authority may not even be here anymore. Another member from the society enters. My roommate, Antonia, says, "All right, it's best you get back to work," she says to me as she proceeds to walk out of the room. I turn to her and see a small smile leaving her lips. I want to believe that she is sweet and kind, like I've once known her to be. I just don't believe that could ever be. Once my task is finished, I then went straight down the stairs to floor 2. There is much to do this Christmas Eve. Once I approach the door for the second floor, I hear loud voices. They're very angry voices. When I enter, there are multiple guards dressed in their uniforms of all red, green, and yellow. They are also from society. "All right, everybody, get in 2 straight lines. You know how this goes," the red guard says. I run to stand in one of those lines. The yellow guard pulls out a scroll and begins to read the names on the list. I close my eyes and hold in as much hope as I possibly do. My hands squeeze, and those who are on both sides of me feel the warmth from my hands. The warmth passed in our hands is enough to help calm each other. And then the green guard begins to use his green baton to beat the names of those who are on the list. They collect the people on their list very quickly in the hall. The guards take their now prisoners to the first floor to continue to collect others on their list. We quickly scatter back into our rooms, and my roommates huddled around each other in tears. A few of our friends were taken. Maybe some I wasn't really close with, but it didn't hurt any less. Some of those people may have been not as skilled at their tasks or accused of doing something to offend those in society. Whatever the reasons were, those in society made note and put their names on the list for the end of the year. We all hugged and held one another in our room to comfort ourselves from the near-death experience. For the first time, I felt small. Whatever light within me was dim. This was not something I was used to. But with every year, I feel less hope, and this time I was feeling a significant decrease in hope. "Guys, I have to go to the first floor." The guards would have thrown them out to the cold and gone back to society by now. "Will you guys come back with me?" Others in the room look at me with blank stares. A man I had just held hands with began to speak. "Child, when are you going to give it up? You can't keep helping others like how you've always done. It's not worth it anymore. We won't continue to survive if we don't help our friends. Only together we can make a change." My eyes still tears from the friends we have all left tonight, but I refuse to let them fall. "All right, I'll go alone." This would be the first Christmas Eve ever where I would have had to give food to those banished to the outside alone. I put on my coat and head out. In the hallway, where I once stood moments ago fearing for my life, now this moment will be peace. I begin to sing my song to allow those of first floor and those outside to know that I'm coming as I near them. The song is of the cold of winter, the spirit of Christmas to put joy and warmth in all of those stomachs for the long night. Now on the first floor, many lay asleep. The extra pieces of food that I had hid away are now put on a tray to carry to the door. With the door left slightly ajar, I slide out one piece of food. My gloves touch another glove. I slide another and another. All say thank you. "Is that all?" I softly call. "No," a young man says. "Are you Sienna?" I guess I shouldn't be too shocked that someone knew my name, but still, I had never heard this voice before. "Yes, why do you ask?" The other said that you would be the one to count on for the long night. "I heard you singing earlier. It's nice to meet you," he says with firm confidence. He sounded handsome. Not sure how I knew that, I just knew it. "Well, I'm sorry we won't be meeting in person again," I say sullenly. "I'm sorry too. Would you mind telling me your Christmas wish though? I was interested in hearing one other than, 'I wish I didn't have to freeze to death.'" I chuckled, then quickly stopped. "Don't worry, I'm not offended. We should laugh on my last night." "Fine, I'll tell you my wish. I wish everyone could join society. No more yearly sacrifices to create space. It just isn't right. I would give anything to change that." "Oh, really?" He speaks in a deep voice. "What if you could be the only one to enter society, Sienna? Would that be enough?" "No." Once I said it, there was now silence. I leaned closer to the slit of the door. We would not be able to fully see each other's faces, only a small slither. Once my face reached the door, all I saw were bright, emerald green eyes. In shock, I shut the door. My heart races. What in the world could that have been? In a haste, I run back to my floor. As I'm about to open the door to my room, guards come rushing down the steps from third floor. All of a sudden, I felt numb. "Sienna, you have been voted into society. You will attend the ball tonight," the guard in green says. He knows me. Many times I had been fetched to run errands in which he had escorted me. This was the first time he's ever been rough in his approach. With my mouth still open, he gives me a note with my name on it. I look up in confusion. This note is from authority. Both of the guards quickly grab each arm and begin to walk me up the long stairs. Once we reach the top, they take me to a room that is next to Antonia's. The room has a big living room space. It does not appear to be another resident in the area. "Give me your left arm," the green guard says. He picks it up and tattoos a third strike on my arm next to the two that were put on there when I was born. Could it really be that I have been chosen to stay on the third floor? I would be expected to scream, but nothing comes out. They soon leave and close the door behind them. I turn around and there is a beautiful gray metallic sparkling dress and a hanger for me. I touched the dress and couldn't believe that I would be expected to wear it. I began to hum as I put it on and held tight the little bit of hope still within. In walking down the long hall to the ball, I think to myself about the people I will finally meet. Workers from second floor have decorated everything for the event and have met some of the third floor inhabitants, but none of us have ever seen what goes on at the yearly ball. This would also be my first time interacting with third floorers as an equal. I wonder what that will be like. At the top of the staircase, I enter the room. No one looks at my direction. I walk into the hall and move past the hordes of foods and drinks around. Many are talking and laughing. The first thing that grabs my attention are the large ice double doors at the front of the room. Could the authority be making an appearance tonight? Never have the authority written a name for society. That is usually made through the members of the third floor. And it honestly only happens once in a generation. I'm sure everyone must be wondering. I mindlessly begin to make my way to the doors in the front. I don't know why, but I believe I can open it. No one has seen the doors open, and no one has been able to open it before. but those gates must have something to do with me. Sienna! I turn when there is a tap on my shoulder. Antonia stands with a champagne glass in her hand. Why are you here? And how are you allowed to dress like that? It only takes a moment longer before her eyes comes to realize the answer. The authority gave me a single vote. That's all was needed since it came from the source. She was still speechless as I spoke, but I know she was still wondering how and why. Something else seemed to be up. Okay, just be careful and think about yourself. None of that helping business you did on the second floor. I mean it, Sienna. We're individuals here, and no one can afford to be attached to something that's trouble. She nods, then walks away. As I turn back to my destination for the doors, a young man dressed in a white suit and tie comes through the crowd. Everyone looks at him as he makes his way to me. I stop short of breath when he opens his mouth to speak to me. Hello. Someone pointed you out as being the newest to join us tonight. His bright green eyes strike me. His voice sounds as if it was something I had just heard. His dark black hair gave a striking look. I'm sure everyone will know I'm new here. My name is Sienna. What is yours? I try to not let my voice shake out of nervousness. My name is London. He puts his hand out. You care to dance? Without answering, I take his hand and move my feet to the tune that plays with him. I feel like we've met, although I don't know how that would be possible. There is no way third floors would be conversing with second floor residents if it weren't for orders. I wonder as he twirls me around. Perhaps we have, but I have heard many things about you. Like how you're kind, helpful, a true light that helps the fires burn for warmth on your floor. He laughs as he now looks into my eyes. I take a small gulp. What could he be talking about? This is exactly something that I should not be known for. Those who ruled Penumbrana wants everyone to stay mindless and only work with others to complete tasks. They prefer a cold way of being. This way, we can all be reminded of the small resources that need to be preserved. An unconcerned, cheerful style would lead to gluttony. Third floor residents could not have the other floors doing that. Don't worry. I know that was a secret, so I'll tell you mine. I come home for Christmas Eve and day. He whispers into my ears. I'm confused. No one leaves this castle unless on Christmas Day, or to quickly make their way in and out throughout the year. Where could he be leading with this? He's very smug and he knows it. What is your wish, Sienna? Tell the authority. A new rule awaits. He spins me around, and once I open my eyes, he is gone. Everyone has long gone back to their own conversation. I know him, I thought, but that is not possible because what I saw earlier tonight was a monster. The night was almost up, and midnight were strokes away. My gaze goes back to the double-iced doors of the authority. On my way up, I glance to see the stroke of midnight. Now in the middle of the room, we all look up to see if the sun will show itself this year. Antonia was right. It had been dimmer and not as warm the past few years. Nothing shows. A middle-aged man dressed in a flamboyant suit makes his way to the front of the room and says, I knew it! We must begin the greater sacrifices. Sacrificing the first floors have no longer been enough. It has to be the third floors this time. What? I say to myself. Everyone immediately looks to me. Oh wow, I'm the last here and the first to go. He speaks again. An addition to the third floor in one generation is already strange. That must be a sign that she must have been chosen for a sacrifice. The whole crowd cheers and I'm suddenly surrounded. Before I know it, I'm lifted up. I see Antonia trying to keep her head down. The crowd takes me outside in a haste. I am pushed to the ground with the doors quickly shut. It's happening. I'm finally going to be frozen out. Maybe worse, I'll be eaten. I have seen the monster for itself already. Nothing but shivers pass through me as I stand outside alone. Those who had been banished outside have been frozen and perhaps some eaten. There is no light left within me. Everything I've always known was a lie. I feel that crippling truth more than ever. Sienna, your light mustn't dim. You haven't gotten your Christmas wish yet. I hear the voice of Lyndon coming from the dark shadows of the trees ahead of me. Lyndon, what are you doing here? This all feels so scary and chilling. I'm here to fulfill your Christmas wish. My father left me in charge of Penumbrana this past year. I've been observing the exact things that must change to make it better. He's off exploring new skies. I sense the warmth in everyone. Yours bears the most heat. Now it's nearly gone. Are you saying your authority? You must have also been that boy I was talking to before the ball. But how can that be? I shiver and hope for this moment to end, but I fall in complete acceptance. Yes to everything you've asked, Sienna. Come closer, and you will see for yourself. His voice is lower than earlier tonight, but still playful. What do I have to lose? I think, and make my way closer. As I come closer to the shadows, I see the same bulging green eyes from before. I hold my breath, not running off like the last time. Pretty soon, a large monstrous mouth and sharp teeth appear. I am shoved to the ground, and above me appears a dragon. The beast is truly Lyndon. Before a proper scream can come out, the dragon flies away from me and towards the castle. With the full-blown fire that he breathes out, he burns the roof of the castle. Before I know it, the dragon is inside. Everyone evacuates the building in a haste. The dragon then zooms out into the sky and releases a ray of fire. The sky lights up and there is great heat felt among us. The dragon disappears into the sky, but we feel the full sun and brightness we had many years ago. Could it be that there was a dragon lighting up the sky? Once all is calm, the dragon then touches ground, making a big dent into the earth. We all marvel and stay far away from it. Lyndon, however, looks at me. Everyone follows his stare. I see as he materializes back into the human with his suit from the night before. It can't be. He's been our authority all along. Someone from the crowd is quick to shout. Lyndon gives me his hand and I take it and come close to him. Now in my ruffled and muddled dress, we stand before all floors of people. The sky is bright and heat is abundant. I am prince of these skies and your authority. Due to the Christmas wish of Sienna, there will be no longer any separation of floors. We will be one and give to one another. This is something that I have learned. But I have one Christmas wish to make. He turns to me and asks, will you be my princess of these skies and help me rule it? You know all that needs changing and everyone so well. There will be no one better. I look across the crowds. Everyone stares in disbelief of all that has happened in these brief moments. Among the crowd, I spot Antonia. She stares at me with regret. But there is no malice in my heart for her. That isn't my way. I want what is best for my people, and so I shall accept. With a nod to Prince Lyndon, he receives my answer. We can seal it with a kiss. Is that not how it is done? I whisper my question. He bends close to me, and I close my eyes. Just as I sense his breath, he breathes warm air on me. Upon opening my eyes, he says, I will be here year round. That will also mean that I will supply you the lights and heat for all. Everyone cheers in excitement and begins to move about in celebration. Well, as princess, I now have another Christmas wish, I smirk. He stares at me in confusion for a moment and then guesses my desire. Lennon steps a while back and then explodes into the dragon, and I gleefully mount onto his back. He takes me above into the heavens so far. He breathes continued fire down, and for as long as I like, he becomes my sun, fire, and warmth. You have listened to the original audio story, A Dragon Prince for Christmas, by me, Adeleye Carew. If you would like to purchase a limited edition paperback of this story, follow me at Indiehood on Instagram and leave a comment requesting it underneath the picture. For more of my full-length books, visit Amazon. All links are in the description. Okay, everyone, this has been my holiday special. Be sure to join me again for more holiday content. Yeah, okay. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And let me know how you felt about each videos and which story was your favorite.